Hey everyone, this is just a warning that this show has adult themes and it's not for little ears.
Again?
All right, ready?
Yep.
Hello and welcome to the Deevine podcast. I'm your host Dee, and some of you may recognize me from my reality TV show days, or if you're new here, I hope you can connect with my ideas and thoughts on things that really shape who I am as a person. I will be sharing personal stories and conversations that will make you laugh at my pain, cry with me through heartbreaks, and feel hopeful about life and all its roller coaster of emotions. If there is one thing that I want you to take away from listening to me chat is that we are all human and we're all just trying to learn as we go. Life is hard enough as it is, and maybe a little understanding and insight can go a long way. Well, I think my first episode that I really want to talk about is I need to address the pink elephant in the room. I haven't really spoke about this publicly, and I feel like it is something that needs to be talked about. And now that I have my own platform where I can speak freely about this and not fear any judgment, that's where I really want to just be open with you guys and really tell you what actually happened with MTV. Yeah.
So what actually happened with MTV?
Well, those that don't know me, I was on a few reality TV shows. So I started my first reality TV show on a show called First Dates. It was only one episode, and I was on there for probably about 20 minutes, but that's where I had my first sort of taste of my 5 minutes of fame. And then from that, I went on to film Geordie Shore, which was really, really crazy, but an amazing experience, but it was just pure carnage. And then I went on to film 3 more shows called The Challenge, and that's where all the amazing life experience things happen. Like I was at the highest of my high, but then I was also at the lowest of my lows. And I don't regret anything that happened. I don't regret my time or experience or the people I've met. But maybe one thing I do regret is how it all came to an end. All right, so here it is. I am going to put it all out there and literally tell you word for word that one tweet that ended my career on TV. It was 2020. I finally quit my marketing job full time because I just came back from a win from the challenge. By the way, first fucking female winner of the challenge, Asian and Australian, mind you. I came back from a win from a season, and I just realized I wanted to keep traveling. I wanted to keep exploring the world. I wanted to keep doing TV shows, get flown out to amazing locations, compete for money with what I thought at the time were my best friends. But we all know that in reality TV, you don't have best friends in reality TV. So, this is really hard for me to talk about, guys. It's I'm trying to put myself back in that place, and it's really fucking hard.
Upsetting?
I thought it was going to be easy, but when I was typing this down, I can't even fucking tell you guys how long it took me to type this shit down. Fuck, I think I'm going to cry.
Just cry.
No, I don't want to cry because it's going to ruin my makeup. I'm on a fun vibe right now.
Oh, Dee.
I'm on a fun vibe right now.
Stuff you're talking about is not fun, obviously.
Obviously, it's not fun. Which is also
Is there certain details that you just want to skip over?
No, because I feel like I really need to set the scene of why, because I didn't write that tweet from a place where I was just a fucking idiot and writing tweet. There was things that built up and led up to that tweet. Even though to this day I stand by that tweet, I never fucking said anything racist. I never said anything that was I hate black people or whatever. What I said verbatim, if you go back and look at my tweet, was I don't know why some of y'all think I'm anti-BLM. I've been BLM since the day I lost my virginity. Okay? The timing was probably wrong and fucked up because this was when all the protests about George Floyd was going on. But fuck, what I said was in no shape or form racist, and the hate and abuse and the shit that I copped after that tweet was sent was so wrong. And that's what I want to call out.
Do you think that the key part of what was wrong with your tweet was just timing and it came across as insensitive?
definitely 100%. It was really timing, and it was the backlash that I got from cast members who were on the show with me that really surprised me. Some of these people I thought that were my friend were not, and they were attacking me, and they were saying, why the fuck are you saying this? Look at you. You're fucking racist. Who the fuck do you think you are? I remember so vividly that I was fighting with these two cast members that when we were on a show together filming and there were like no cameras around, we had moments where like we really connected. And I felt like I saw their soul and they saw my soul. And I thought like, you know, like we're real people here, even though we're all here trying to win money or whatever, competitors, we're real people. I see you, you see me. And what shocked me and what really upset me was they took what the tweet I said and they made me paint me out to be this person, that this villain and this fucking horrible human being where, you know, when I was on a show with you, like I fucking told you about shit that I would never tell anyone. And you know me, you know my fucking heart. And for you to like turn around and say like, oh, you're fucking racist and all that shit and like fucking bringing my family into it and like saying that I was like a fucking cokehead and all that stuff and like doing shit like that, that fucking sucked, man. And that's why it fucking hurts to talk about this shit, because we always had this camaraderie, right, on TV. We had this like, you know, we're all in this together, all for one for all. So when shit like that happens, why couldn't they fucking pick up the phone, text me and be like, why did you say that? Why did they have to put it on a public forum?
Do you reckon they were thinking about their careers at the time?
100%.
Yeah.
110%, because these people were prolific black people as well, okay?
Yeah.
So what I'm trying to say here is like during this time, was crazy because if you know me, like my friends know me, like, and everyone that like my actual friends that's not on TV know me, and they were like, Dee, like, are you okay? Like, why the fuck are people saying this about you? Because this is not you. And like, I don't understand. Is there something that you did that was way worse than this? Because what's coming out, we don't understand why it's so, like, why are you getting this backlash? But the fucked up thing was when I was in America at that time, it was peak COVID, peak George Floyd, peak BLM, peak all this shit that was happening. And I was witnessing this firsthand because I was in a fucking country where I couldn't leave. I wanted to be home. I didn't want to be in the fucking US. I was only there to travel. My goal was to be there for 3 months, party with my friends, and then come home. Like, that's what I wanted. But when I was there and I got stuck and Australia said that we're shutting our borders and you can't come home, as an Australian citizen, not being able to come home into her own fucking country sucked. And that fucking hurt. And like, I wanted to be with my friends and family because, you know, people are dying left, right and center from COVID, from these protesters. And I just want to like hug my family. That's all I wanted. And I couldn't do that. And what fucking sucked was like, people didn't see that. They just saw their anger and they saw their unjust and whatever, and they projected that onto me. And I get that, right? I get that, like, the people on these shows, like the black people of America have been through some things. I understand that. I know history. I know what's going on. But I felt like they fucking used me as a tool to catapult their own fucking, like, careers or their own sort of political image, right? Because they were black people, because they needed to talk about BLM, because they needed to be like this fucking righteous, we are the champions for black people of America everywhere, because what happened to George Floyd is so fucked up and we need to do more. Yes, do more, all for that, but don't fucking use me as a scapegoat and tear me down to benefit yourself. And that's what fucking sucked.
So the betrayal of your friends really got you?
Absolutely. The betrayal of my friends really was what got me, and that's what got me so emotional, and that's what hurts more than anything, because I couldn't give two shits about what some random fucking Twitter hero says about me.
Some troll.
Some troll. I don't give a fuck about some troll. But what I do give a fuck about is when people meet me and know me and understand me, but then they could still turn around and say, nah, you're fucked. You're this, you're that, you're this and that, when it's not me. That's what I don't like. That's what I can't fuck with. And that's what's like hurts the most. Why I decided to tweet that out, I don't even fucking know why, but I want to set the scene for you. I was in Kansas City at the time. I was filming this show with a bunch of other reality stars. So because we were locked down in COVID, I couldn't go home. No one was working. No one was filming. Everything was just at a standstill. One of my good friends on the TV show was like, well, I have this crazy idea. You're in my city. I'm going to create this show. This could be like an art project for us. We'll create our own mini COVID show during lockdown, and we'll get like people who are, you know, on the shows as well to come in and fly in, and we'll stay in this big house and we'll just film reality. And I was like, yeah, that sounds sweet. Like, I've got nothing better to do. So I went from, 2 months of partying in Vegas and LA with one of my good girlfriends, Georgia and Maddie. And then when COVID hit, Georgia obviously had to go back home to the UK. But I was like, nah, I want to keep traveling. I want to go to Kansas City to visit my friend. So I'm going to do that. So I went to Kansas City with my friend, and I thought, like, I'm only going to be here for another month because I'll go home at the end of May or whatever the time frame was, because I was only going to be there for 3 months because that's my visa for the US. So I gave myself a 3-month limit of being in the US. So my last month was going to be in Kansas City. And when I was there, shit just started getting crazier with COVID and things were shutting down. And I was like, fuck, I really actually can't go home. And that's where this project came to light. So for about, I think, 2 weeks we were filming, and like it was really amazing to create my own TV show, like with these amazing people and these amazing personalities, because I got to be a producer, a talent, and I was doing good things and I had creative input and I enjoyed all that. But it was also a reality TV show. So we were partying every day, and what else is there to do in COVID but drink, party, do drugs, and carry about tasks. So
what was the show?
So the show never came to light because everything that happened, we had to cancel it. But the show was essentially just a passion project that we were going to create. And we had like 12 episodes that we were going to do, and we were going to release it on Patreon and get people involved and all that stuff. So that was just something that we wanted to do. So the basis of the show was we go out and do good in the community in Kansas City. So in the day we'll go out and like we'll build like pergolas for like families that need it. We'll drop off food to the homeless. Like we just inject a bit of life into the community in Kansas City. And then at night, like, we party and let loose and
eat ribs.
Yeah. And there'll be like just, interaction with like, like your co-stars and all that stuff. And like the thing was, so the guy that, I don't want to say his name. Because
you don't have to say his name.
It's really fucking hard.
You don't have to say it.
Was it the guy that like started the whole thing?
No, like I actually fell in love like really fucking hard, and it was really fucked.
But did he encourage you to tweet or?
No, he didn't do anything like that. But the sucky thing was like he didn't stick up for me. That fucking hurt because I thought we were like. This is gonna sound so cheesy, but I thought we were like soulmates and shit, and then we weren't, and then. Fuck, guys, like, can I have more tissues, please?
Yeah.
This fucking sucks. This is why I didn't want to do this. Well, I do, but I don't.
You need to get it off your chest. It's therapeutic. It makes you who you are.
Oh. Fuck, I really have not talked about this at all. Like, I've talked about it to friends, but like now putting it out there, it's fucking hard, man.
Yeah, and remember, we're only going to release what you're comfortable with, so...
No, I am so comfortable because I feel like people will be able to relate, and that's why I'm comfortable talking about it. But it's just going to take a bit to get me there because it's really fucking emotional.
Yeah.
And it was really like, it's such a beautiful time of my life. When I was in Kansas City, I lived with this guy. Like, we literally were talking... because he was the friend of the friend that I was supposed to go to Kansas City to see. And he and I like were talking for a little bit, and I felt like we had this amazing connection, and we haven't met yet, but we were going to meet in Kansas City. So we were chatting while I was in the US. And
is that part of the reason why after like the borders were kind of shutting down, you were like, oh no, I definitely want to go to Kansas City?
Absolutely, yeah. Because when I moved to Kansas City after my girlfriend Georgia went home to UK, he and I were just like, I've never met him before, but we chatted, we FaceTime and stuff. He and I were just like, well, we're both going to be in Kansas City, so let's just book this Airbnb, 2 bedrooms. No, actually 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms. Like, you have your room, I have mine. Like, it's a bit weird that we're going to live together, but fuck it, we'll save money on Airbnb costs.
And you're going to do this show together?
Yeah. Like, we'll live together, we'll do this show together, and yeah, we'll save money because he was from like Arizona or something, and he was planning to move to Kansas City, so he didn't have a place yet. So we were just like, all right, let's just get an Airbnb for a couple of weeks and we'll see how it goes. And let me tell you, like, when I moved to Kansas City, we didn't start filming yet. We had probably about 3 or 4 weeks, I would say, or maybe, I don't know, it felt like 4 weeks, but I don't know. The time we spent together before we started filming was just pure like contentment for me, because everything was shut down. COVID was a thing. BLM was a thing. I was in Kansas City, and no one was working. So I actually had time to pause and be in this moment with this other person that I don't know, but I got to know him on a deeper level where there was no outside distractions. There was no like all these like elements, because it was just us. And he had this beautiful, beautiful, Staffy, like this beautiful dog, and she just like, she really, I don't know, something about this dog, her and I, like, we connected so well spiritually. Like, she just understood, you know, like, she was just like it's just a reflection of him as a person, because he raised this dog to be so like insightful and sensitive and just kind. And this is something beautiful about a human and an animal connection. I really got to witness that. Like, I know I'm like digressing, but there was this time where I was on my period or something, and the dog, she knew that I was on my period, and she would like lay her head on my belly, like stuff like that, like that I got to experience. I was just like pure contentment, because yeah, I was like, he was a vegan as well, so we're eating really healthy. Like, I would make meals, and like we'll go for walks together, I'll go for runs, and like he'll be working, and like I'll just be doing my thing. But like, we just had a really nice time. We were just in our bubble, and I got to experience that. And I can honestly say, like, I fell in love with him, and I think he fell in love with me too. But what happened and how it all came crashing to an end was that's what sucks. And I don't think I fucking healed properly from that relationship. We weren't even in a relationship. Obviously, our relationship turned sexual and all that stuff, but we weren't like fucking like dating, you know. But like, the connection you have with someone on like a physical, spiritual and sexual level was just unreal. And I haven't really experienced that in a long, long time. And when I had that with him, it was just amazing. So anyway.
So right before the tweet, sounds like it was one of the happiest periods of your life. And then it all came crashing down. Did this guy ditch you as soon as the tweet happened? What happened?
I wouldn't say he ditched me after this tweet happened, but he pulled back. And whether it was him pulling back or me expecting him to sort of like step up for me a little bit more, he disappointed me and he let me down a lot, because he chose a side that was with the masses, right? That wanted to cancel me, even though he didn't verbalize it. But his actions spoke louder than his words, and he chose a side. And I was like, right, you chose that side, I'm done with you. And once I'm done with someone, I'm fucking done. And I chose to not communicate with him anymore, and I chose to cut him out of my life, as I did with everyone else that chose the side. And that's why I feel like it's still open and raw, because there was no closure. And I don't think you would ever really get closure from a situation like that. And that's something that I have to be okay with, because in life, like, you'll never get closure for those things that really fucking like leave a mark on your heart, you know. And that's something you have to be okay with, because if you always think about the past and always think about, I want my closure, I want to know why, then you're never going to be able to move on. And moving on is being okay that there's no closure.
Do you want to speak to those people again? Like you said, once you're done, you're done.
I don't want to speak to most of them, but I did reach out to him, and when I was like back in Australia, because like obviously I thought about him a lot and stuff, and after all that shit happened, I sort of healed a little bit, and it's been a healing journey for me. And I did reach out to him, but like what sucked was the stuff that he said to me when we were in a bubble. I just felt like he just fucking lied. And
why do you think he lied?
Because like he was meant to be my friend. That's the thing. He was meant to be my friend. And he knew the shit that I was getting from people who he knew who were also black, and he was black as well. He knew the shit that I was getting was unwarranted. But he didn't fucking do anything. He didn't do anything to stop it.
No loyalty.
No loyalty.
Dude, that's really heartbreaking. Must have been a really awful time.
Is there snot coming out of my nose? Because it's fucking disgusting.
There's no snot coming out of your nose.
No.
I do want to ask you, though, like, I think as an Australian, sometimes we don't realise how politicised Americans are.
Yeah.
Everything for there is one side of the political spectre or another side, whereas I think Australians are a little bit more sort of mainstream. Cavalier. We can joke about issues. And I'm not trying to like make excuses for you or anything like that, but I know when I dive into issues that are American, all of a sudden it's, you know, you're either a Democrat or a Republican. There's no middle ground.
No. And neither of them can relate to the other. Like, it's very...
That's what I was having this conversation with a friend the other day. Why is it when you go on Facebook posts or like any sort of post and there's people fighting in the comments, it's always fucking Americans? Why is it always the Americans? It's always the Yanks that's arguing. Like, no one else gives a fuck, but it's always the Americans like, I'm like, blah, blah, blah. This is my opinion. Yep. Your opinion sucks. You're wrong. Blah, blah, blah. Like, fuck off.
They're very...
Yeah.
Like, no one... Americans wouldn't look at your post and go, oh, she's just having a bit of joke about liking black dick. Like, they just couldn't see it for that.
No. And I want to go back to explain why I wrote that tweet. And I'm not making any excuses or anything. And I don't want people to feel sorry for me or whatever. But I really just want to set the scene as to what was going through my brain when I sent out that tweet. Mind you, like, I never had Twitter before I was on the challenge. I don't get Twitter. I don't understand it. I don't even fucking like social media in general. I like to switch off because, like, when I was on shows and stuff, I realized I was seeking validation from likes and comments and all these people like responding, whatever. And I actually really liked that, but it got so unhealthy that I was like, oh fuck, like I need to take a step back. So I had to like, you know, do tricks like I'll turn off like notifications for posts, like I won't put on any like gotta not look at the likes and stuff because that actually can really fuck with your brain. So when I was filming the challenge, they were like, oh, you need to get Twitter because Twitter's good for like you to engage with your fans and all that shit. And I was like, all right, fuck it, I'll just get Twitter, let's see how I can engage with these fans, and it was fun, you know. Because I'll go on, like there'll be a show airing and then you can live tweet as the show's going on and you banter with your fans and you banter with other people. And I like that stuff. I was like, oh, this is really fun. So my first introduction to Twitter, I was like, I don't understand, like, you know how they have their little stan army and their little like trolls and all that shit. They have that, but I never understood that. And I just thought like, oh, fuck no, it's just, I'm just connecting with people. It's just another way of me connecting with my fans who love the show. And I love that. I love talking to people. I love being like, yeah, this is me. This is what I do, blah, 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 blah. But so while we were filming, but going back on the Twitter thing, I feel like people take advantage of that. And people took advantage of me not knowing how fucking toxic Twitter can get. And the fans that I thought that were like fucking sweet, like or whatever, really were just trying to like get more insight to use it as leverage and fuel for whatever the fuck they wanted to do. Not saying all of them are bad because there was like some people that were my fans that I really helped. Like this, I remember this beautiful boy, he was wanting to come out to his family about him being gay and he was just like, oh, I don't know how to do it, yada, yada, yada. And then like we had this like chat and I was like, it's okay. Like, you know, you don't have to tell anyone or open up to anyone or blah, blah, blah. And we were talking for about like, you know, a year or something. And he would update me on his life. like he was like, oh, like like he called me Queen. He was like, Queen D today, like, you know, I did this and I did that, and I'm actually crushing on another one of your stands, and I really like him, and he will update me, and like I love that. I love being able to help people like that. And he told me like at the end, him and the other stand, like I think I can say their name, like Trent and Zach, they were able to find love with each other, and they moved across the world to be with each other. Now they're in a beautiful relationship, and they came out, like Trent came out to his family, and he's so happy. I still follow him on Instagram. I see all the little updates. It brings my heart so much joy when I see that, because I don't know if I actually directly helped, but I allowed him a space to be able to connect with someone who he thought was a celebrity, and he was able to like have this amazing experience, and I helped facilitate that. So I am thankful for Twitter for that. And I don't think like Twitter is a terrible place if you use it in the right way. So when I was filming this show in Kansas City, like after 2 weeks of like just hard, grueling work, like we'll do stuff like, yeah, like I said, we'll go build pergolas, and like it's fucking grueling work that we did for free, by the way, back to the community. Like we dropped off like meals to firefighters and all that stuff. And I love doing that. And I like got to really experience Kansas City and know the people. And I fucking fuck with Kansas City so hard. Kansas City is an amazing city with beautiful people. I met some incredible people. These stories that these people would tell me, it makes me think like, oh, you know, when you wake up and you feel stressed out about like a zit or something that's not going your right way, there's people out there who have like, for example, the family that we were building the pergola with, they couldn't afford a wedding because their son has terminal cancer, and they wanted a wedding, but they couldn't afford it because they had to spend money on getting their fucking child medicine. So we built this fucking arch for them so they could have a wedding, so their son could fucking see their parents get married before he passed. Like, that's fucking awesome, man. So we'll do shit like that where it'll be like so emotionally draining throughout the day. So at night, like, you have a couple of drinks, like, you know, that's the best way for me to let loose. Like, I love drinking. I love, you know, doing like a bit of like mushies here and there. I love like a bit of acid. Like, I'm so into my psychedelics and all that stuff. I love shit like that. So I think this one day, like after a really grueling long day, it might have been that pergola day or something, I was in bed and I just wanted to like be away from everyone. I took a tab of acid and I was in bed, and like people were outside partying and all that shit. They were trying to come in my room to get me to come out. I was like, nah, fuck, leave me alone. Like, I need to be with my own thoughts. I was in bed, I was on my phone, looking at Twitter, like scrolling through tweets, going through Instagram comments, and, you know, I would get shit all the time that said like, why aren't you doing anything about the BLM movement? Why aren't you putting up a black square? Why aren't you doing this? Why aren't you doing that? You're on a show, you're a celebrity, you need to do something, you need to do this, you need to do that. And I'm like, why the fuck do I need to do anything? Like, why do I need to do anything? It's my platform. I put up whatever the fuck I want. So why do I need to like succumb under pressure to do a thing for a political movement that I know nothing about? Like, I understand, I see the news, but I have no right to fucking say anything because I'm not a US citizen. I'm also a person of color. Asians get hate all the time, but it's not as intense as it is being an American citizen. So I felt like I had no right to really comment on it because it wasn't my place. But this one day, after the acid, after all that shit I was going through, there was a tweet that went out aimed at me, and it said, D, do you hate black people? Are you anti-BLM? And I fucking was like, I fucking had enough, hey. So I retweeted that tweet and said, I don't know why some of y'all think I'm anti-BLM. I've been BLM since the day I lost my virginity. And I thought, haha, that's probably a cheeky way of me like saying I'm fucking all about BLM. Tweeted it out, put my phone down, didn't think anything of it, went to bed. Next day, woke up to a fucking shitstorm of fucking comments saying, D, you're racist, you're this, blah, blah, blah. People on the show saying, who the fuck do you think you are? Take this down, blah, 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 blah. And I was like, what the fuck is going on? I was just so confused by all the hate I was getting. I just didn't understand it. And I was like tweeting back. I was like, I don't know what's happening. Why are you guys reacting like this? I'm sorry. Is it like, if it's really that bad, I'll take it down. So I deleted the tweet straight away. But the damage was already done because cast members picked up on it and cast members were like, fuck you, blah, blah, blah. I was like, hey, hang on a minute. Like, we spoke on the phone last week. Like, why are you suddenly saying fuck you to me? Like, are we okay, hun? So I tweeted them back. I was like, what's going on? Like, I'm in your city. I'm fucking doing like work for your community. Why are you being like this? Like, I don't hate black people and I'm not racist. Like, I just didn't get it because it was so mind-boggling to me that they were calling me racist. I was like, and I had to think, I was like, am I a fucking racist? I was like, was that actually racist? And it was just like a flurry of things. And I felt like the next 3 days was just a blur of shit. That's wild.
Tell me, what has the last 2 years been like in the wake of that?
Fuck, the last 2 years, man. So after all that shit, I retreated a little bit. I had to delete Instagram, delete all social medias. My managers stepped in and looked after my profile for me. I didn't post for almost a year. I actually went off the grid. I moved out of Kansas City and I moved to Colorado because I didn't want to be in Kansas City anymore. Moved to Colorado, and during this time, I was still trying to find a way to get home, but I still couldn't get home yet. So I was in Colorado for about 6 months after that. Met a boy in Colorado. Sort of fell in love with him. Like, I wouldn't dismiss our relationship, but I felt like I needed someone who wasn't from the reality TV world or who didn't really watch it or know who I am. And I probably latched onto him and clung onto him more than I should have. And it was great though. Like, he was an amazing person. Like, he was so lovely, so nice. Nothing bad I could say about him at all, but he was definitely a lot more in love with me than I was in love with him.
Did he help you get through stuff?
I wouldn't say that he helped me get through stuff because I helped myself get through stuff, because I don't want to discredit the work that I did. But he did help me forget. He did distract me from all the shit. So I was able to I made some good friends in Colorado. Like, I made friends with another girl, who was on a show, but she was on a show recently, and she and I had this amazing friendship. And she was she looked after me, because I was in her city. She looked after me. She welcomed me with her partner and her dogs, and it was just Colorado has a special place in my heart as well. Like Denver in particular, that city, I love that city as well because A, weed is fucking legal. B, the people are so nice. And C, there's mountains everywhere. So what better place to heal than Colorado?
Do you think you healed in Colorado and that's why you think of it? Or is there also a dark side because you're going through so much stuff that you're yeah, it was good for this reason, but also I would never go back because...
No, I don't think that at all. I think Colorado really helped me heal a part of me. But the real healing came when I was back in Australia. Because after obviously I thought in my head, I think when I was in Colorado, I always think it was a fantasy land for me, right? I wasn't in reality when I was in Colorado. I was a different D. I wasn't DD. I was this image of D, no one knows who I am. I'm not this reality TV person. I'm not the one that got cancelled. I'm just D in Colorado, an Australian that's stuck here and trying to make a life here. And, we had a great relationship. And I even got down to the thought of I was fantasizing about, maybe I'll move to Colorado. Maybe I could get a student visa, go to uni. Maybe I want to become a lawyer. I wanted to rediscover myself and change my image because of what happened to me. I wanted to completely change who I am. But I realize now that I'm back home, that wasn't me. That was just a version of me that I wanted to be. In another lifetime, maybe, but that wasn't me. And when I actually fought my way to get home, which is another story for another day, because how I actually came back home, I went to where did I go? Where's that place? It's on the top of my head, but I went somewhere. Fuck, it's going to do my nut in. Where did I go? Did I tell you? Do you remember where I fucking went? Where did I go to get this visa? It was not
in America.
It was not Mexico. It was next to Mexico. Panama.
Yeah.
Panama. There, that was going to do my fucking nut in. The story of I'll tell you real quick, but the story of how I actually came home was I had to go to Panama, apply for a visa, come back. My visa got rejected, got stuck in a fucking holding cell in Florida for 16 hours. They had to fly me back to Panama because they couldn't fly me to Australia because Australia was like, nah, borders are shut, you need to get a flight. So I had to go back to Panama, get the visa again, come back again. They were still like, nah, you can't come in. I was like, what the fuck, why? Like, because you overstayed your visa. I was like, what the fuck you guys. So I got banned from the US for 5 years. And then I got flown back to Panama. And I was in Panama. I was like, fuck, how am I supposed to get home? How am I supposed to get home? I found a flight from Panama. There was Panama, Brazil, Qatar, New Zealand, Sydney. I was like, sweet, booked that flight, booked it, went Panama, Brazil. At Brazil, they were like, you can't board this flight. I was like, what the fuck, why? And they were like, oh, because you need a direct flight from Brazil to Sydney. I was like, no, I'm not trying to go to New Zealand. I'm trying to go home to Sydney. They were like, no, because, quarantine and all that stuff, and there's no more quarantine in New Zealand, so you have to, you can't board this flight. I was like, get fucked. I'm not staying in Brazil, because Brazil at this time was the worst for COVID deaths. It was the highest country for COVID deaths. So I was freaking out. I was like, I'm going to die. I'm going to die from COVID. I've got no health insurance. I'm going to fucking die. I remember sitting at the airport in Brazil on the phone to my mum. I was like, Mum, this is what's happening. She was like, what the fuck? And I was like, I can't come home. And she's like, and I could hear her like freaking out. And then I was like, don't you fucking cry on me, because if you cry, I'm going to cry. Like, I can't do anything about it. She's like, what are you going to do? I was like, I can't talk to you right now because you're stressing me out. I need you to just I'm just telling you, I'm not going home yet. I just need to figure out a game plan. So I hung up, figured out a game plan, and then when I was in Brazil, thank fuck, I found a flight direct from Brazil to Sydney that was going to cost me 10 grand, business class, to get home. But I was like, you know what, money's not even a fucking issue right now. I want to be home. Booked that flight, got on the fucking plane, got home to Sydney, got to Sydney, did 2 weeks quarantine in a fucking shitty hotel that's smaller than this room, made it out alive. And here we are, baby, recording this podcast.
Why, Dee, after 2 years, have you finally decided to talk about what happened to you?
I think I feel like I'm at a point of healing where I can talk about what happened to me and it won't affect me as much as I thought it would. Because when I used to think about what happened, it would actually crush me. It would break my heart over and over and over and over again. Even now, as I'm talking about it, I'm getting emotional, but I'm at a point where I can talk about it and it's okay because I've done the work. I've gone to therapy, reconnected with my friends, met so many amazing, beautiful people who love and support me for who I am and who have said to me, it's okay what you went through. It's okay. And being able to tell my story, open up to some of my girlfriends about how I fucking almost tried to kill myself. When I was in Kansas City after that happened, I almost actually wanted to fucking kill myself. And telling my girlfriends that and being able to open up to them about that, the shit that I've never fucking told anyone. And for them to hold space for me and allow me to speak and still love me. It's just amazing. And that's why I want to do this podcast, because I want to share that with you. I want people to realize that any shit that you go through, no matter how fucking bad it gets, don't do anything stupid that will ruin your life, because there's people out there who fucking love you, man. There's people who love you, and I've experienced that, the love for my friends and family is really what pulled me out of that darkness.
What did you learn from what happened?
That's a fucking loaded question too, Andrew. I don't know what I fucking learned. I think what I really learned from it is that I'm fucking strong, man. I'm really powerful. And that's not saying, I'm not trying to, talk myself up or anything, but I pulled myself out of that depression. I pulled myself out of that fucking dark place. And if I can do it, you can fucking do it. Because honestly, obviously what happened to me is not the worst thing that could ever happen to anyone. Like there's people out there who are sick or dying or whatever, but it was such a hard time for me, the hardest shit I ever gone through. And I've been through some hard shit, mind you. Like when I was younger, like I was sexually assaulted and all that stuff, and that we can talk about that later on, but I've been through some hard shit. But this period of my life when I went through that cancellation, that was so hard for me, and I pulled myself out of that. And what I learned from that was your friends and your family are the only people in this world who will ever give a shit about you. And when I say friends, I'm not talking about Instagram friends or whatever. Your friends that you see in day out, your friends who you like look at you and you look at them and say, hey, I see you and you are fucking enough. And that's why I harp on about like friends over anything and family over anything, because I built such a great community of support around me where if shit goes wrong in my life now, I have on hand 5 people I can call and I know that they will drop everything to be with me or to help me. And what I learned is invest in relationships with people who make you feel like that.
Really important stuff. Dee, you have poured your soul out in this first episode, but this whole podcast isn't going to be all that. I know you want to like build a community where other females and males can listen to it, and you can share your experiences and share their experiences and make it a real community around your show.
Yeah, I definitely do. I know this episode is really heavy, and you know, there was, I did tell you were going to cry, or I was going to cry, but this whole podcast project for me is I just want to be able to talk and connect and build a community around me that's like-minded and that could really vibe with the themes and the stuff that I talk about. So, for example, next week, I'm going to talk about the time I did DMT and had the best orgasm of my life. Or the following week, I'm going to talk about like some crazy shit that I got up to on the weekend that, you know, that will make you just be like, wow, what the fuck? Who is this person? Because you see, I feel like everyone sees a side of me that I created so perfectly on social media. You go on my Instagram and you can see, I know when people look at my Instagram, they have this judgment of me because I put up, you know, bikini shots or whatever. They're like, oh, she's that type of person. But that's only the surface level of who I am. And my vision for this podcast is to be able to allow people to know me and understand me a little bit more that's not surface level. And also, I want to tell you guys that I finished writing a memoir documenting my life, my mum's story. My mum's story is fucking crazy, so that'll be an episode as well. So I finished writing a memoir, and that's going to be launched in February. I've already have this whole plan. So in February, when I turn 30, she's going to be 30 and an accomplished author. So look out for that.